Everybody, we've come to the end of Dynasty Dragons.
Dragons!
Dragons!
Dragons! Dragons!
We're going to
Why
talk
are we not
about
talking about
Unaligned guys, and we're going to talk about the multiple clan senseis in this lovely video. So stick around for that. Let's jump right into it, Paul. Paul loves 15 gold cups guys. I also do because my favorite personality ever printed, Sensei no Oni, was a 15 gold cups guy.
So,
Air Dragon is not Sensei
like,
no Oni.
I feel like I said a lot of this in the article that I wrote about the dragons, and people can go check it out. I don't want this. There's a lot of unaligned personalities and really some really good stuff. So I don't want this to devolve into sort of but
the dragon vid.
It's not just that it's only 7 force for 15 gold. It's not just that the abilities can be gotten on just any number of other fate cards in Dynasty. It's also that there's a 15 honor requirement. It's also that you can't attach followers and items. The dragons just aren't really good. I will play them. I've already built a deck for them, again, in the video. And there's a part of me that will always just love attacking with massive personalities and big G and screaming dragon at my opponent. But these guys just, like, if this is what a 15 gold cost guy is in 20 festivals and beyond, you shouldn't play 15 gold cost personalities. It's just not impactful enough.
Yeah. I will play some dragons, and we'll talk about it as we go on, as we move through the cards. I think
a lot of the dragons don't even compare favorably to like the faction aligned cycle guys from the Coming Storm with the invest 10s, right? Specifically, the Lion one beats them out. For 15 golds, you get 9 force spread across 3 bodies.
Yep.
It's just not even a contest.
The Air Dragon.
But I like the art a lot, so that's not nothing.
I think the Air Dragon continues to be one of the weaker ones. He was always the chump of the group back in the day.
Well, it was a little cheaper was the thought. I mean, they all ended up being a little, there's different price points and stuff. He can be targeted with spells and things now. I'm not even, I barely recognize anybody. But
this one I hate because it's not proactive. His ability just says, like, undo their stuff. And so why would they ever target the Air Dragon with force reduction if they know that he has this ability?
Like if you have an overwhelming offense, target someone else. I guess the reason is because you had to invest so much energy that you only have the Air Dragon now. And the problem is you're attacking with just the Air Dragon and they have 4 other guys on their side of the board, and you're going to lose that battle. So.
Yeah, the other problem is that if they have 2 overwhelming offense, you're just dead. It's not negate all future penalties, which would be great. If he just had a trait that said he can't have his force reduced, that'd be nice. Instead, we get this little ability. There is a tiny bit of upside that the ability can be copied over with an inspired leadership. So if they reduce your other guy, you copy it, bring him back up, and don't you feel smart? But I think of the dragon, this is probably my least favorite one.
Still a dragon, though. Then we get our Naga, Jim Chalder, who... Yeah, so I remember this is a guy, and he won in Alaska. There's a couple of neat little sort of history gamey stuff that people probably aren't. But so this was in Samurai the last time this card was printed, or not Gold Edition. It was in Gold Edition last time this card.
Yeah, I remember this card. Yeah,
it was before they had started putting the sort of names of tournament prizes on cards. And then they reprinted him here, and they actually gave him his shout out on the side of his card, and that's like neat that they sort of remembered that this was a card that had a prize effect and thought, hey, let's add it on there.
So I read the Spider boards infrequently, and I know that there's a number of outstanding prizes that I talk about. I like the idea that 9 years from now they're going to give the Spider one of their Spider story prizes. Like, oh yeah, I remember, like you had a matchmaker or something.
There you go.
Like 2014, name a thing. And if we're still playing L5R in 2025, I will be so pleased with myself.
Now, this guy was really neat. So his numbers are the exact same. So when he was last a playable card in gold and then later into diamond, he was 4-2 for 7 because Naga were no longer a faction. It's been a really long time since Naga were a faction. And so he's still 4-2 for 7. What's changed is the nature of battle abilities. Battle abilities got way stronger, and then have come back a little bit. I like so this is sort of a fear effect that's not a fear effect.
Mhm.
Um, and we don't really like fear effects, and I don't really love this one, but okay, I guess it's a Naga and people want to play Naga.
It's a little better than fear because they can get a guy with
Because
followers,
yeah,
provided the followers are bowed. So, I mean, I
so,
don't know
yeah,
what home this guy would have. I think he's just hyped to get for the Naga coming back, and it's cool when you open it. It's like the green border, and the new guy in the group's like, "What's that?" Like, wow.
yeah. I mean, we've never really seen like this card as a foil might be something sort of really neat and interesting to look at. And I if you're playing some kind of mid-range military deck and you need one more good force for number guy to fill it out, I could see him being your Huckleberry.
All right, more dragons. Let's talk about
Dragon!
the Earth Dragon.
I
Uh,
actually sort of like his. I sort of like his trait because it's acknowledgement that once you've invested all this stuff in your like the Air Dragon was the same way, but this guy is like, man, it really sucks when they bow your big unit or send your big unit home. So here's a negation, stapled on,
for sure.
but all the same problems as the other dragons, which is that you just could not. You could just buy 2 or 3 or 4. Literally, you can buy 4 other personalities for 15 gold. Like that's not hard to do.
Yep. End up with greater
Three.
force and have that exact same resiliency where if they bow one, you still got three
Right.
more.
So, just do that, guys.
Um, yep. This one's quite nice. I wish that it was two separate. He negated one movement and one send home.
Yep.
Just like
Also, these guys go back to my like now they're all traits instead of abilities
yeah,
for
this one
reason.
specifically, I don't understand why it couldn't just be. I guess because this way it gets unstoppable stuff.
Okay, and I guess they can't victory through deference it, but I still,
Stand by your
pickle
reading of it.
pickle lane design team.
All right, let's pop on
So
to our Rent a
Inamoto,
Shug. I will be playing this guy in plenty of decks. Why? Because he has the Void Trade.
not just the void trait though. So with a spell, it's 4/4 for 5, and that's way value. That's above all the curves. Like nobody gets 4/4 for 5, right? So this is a really great card. The 6 honor rec keeps it out of a lot of decks. I mean, it pretty much says this is for
Plays the
Phoenix and
Phoenix.
Green decks.
Yep.
Because if you're playing on the line guys, you're probably not gaining a ton of honor to begin with. But this is a card that's time couldn't come in Celestial because it was competing against so many other good cards. But I think this is an above average card for 20 festivals and beyond because
Absolutely.
I particularly love the interaction a void spell that I find myself playing a bunch, not just Strength of the Fifth Ring, but Past and Future, which is the one that like when you put it on a void guy, you draw a card.
Yeah,
So
but it
it's like
bows
I
the
buy
Shug.
Inamoto. It's the one that bows the Sensei.
Yeah, that's right. Bows the Sensei.
Right. So, but it's 0 gold. So it's like I buy Inamoto, I throw down this thing, I cantrip into a card, and now I've got a 4/4 guy with an attachment.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's not nothing.
Just
So you're right. He's a great Death Star platform. He's got a relevant trait, two relevant traits. I love this guy. I think he's excellent. And I think that well, I made a comment before we started recording that if Unaligned were a faction, they'd be coming out really high in this set because there's just some
yeah.
amazing Rent to Shugs and Rent to Courtiers.
They've
Uh,
got right, so they got a lot of these like 3/3 for 5s that get a little better, or 3/2 for 5s that get a little better, and
well,
he's
they
one of
just
them.
do stuff, and we'll see some guys that like just have really powerful abilities that we want to see
Yep.
in lots of different decks. For now, though, let's talk about the Fire Dragon.
Second
Parochial favorite. Everybody, that's not the right word. Perennial favorite. Everybody likes the
for
Fire
anyone.
Dragon. He makes a big ranged attack. The XP2 made two ranged attacks, but
I,
we're back down to the original version, just about range 7. I like this because we can copy it. I think, it's not Dark Naga, but when it's like a 2/2 guy off of Inspired Leadership, or if it's a Ninja Shapeshifter making the range 7, it's a lot better.
it's the same as with all dragons. Is a range 7 ability great? Yes, it's awesome. No one's going to say range 7 is not going to kill something. Range 7 is bad. Range 7 doesn't do anything. Though I think they could have like not made him bow for it, but what do I? The problem is you can buy Deodoji Kinta for 6 gold,
Yeah,
and then I don't know Dark Naga Ambushers, and now you can make a range 6, or I guess Expert Archers has to, and now you can make a range 7 for 10 gold, and you didn't have to spend 15, and you got a guy with a follower that you can do other stuff with. It's the same problem with all the dragons, right? You can do the same thing, and the fact that you're trying to run multiple dragons, you end up not getting a lot of synergy from your abilities. It's just, I love the arts, so there's that.
Will you play this one
I
to
like.
oath it into Phoenix and bring him back over and over again for 4 PH?
I mean, am I gonna play him in my Phoenix deck? Yeah, of course, because he's cool. Would I oath him? You can't oath. Oath only aligns a human, so it doesn't even matter.
Nuts.
That's
Well, I'll find a way.
otherwise I could. Otherwise, I'd oath him, and then bow for range 7, and then eat him to the Maho spell, and then buy
Gain
him
7
back.
force, then buy him back. Yeah. I mean, if we can figure out a way to
Hey,
make him
wait, look,
Phoenix.
where's that hoop? Give me a fifth hoop to jump. I've only jumped through 4 hoops. I want a fifth.
That's right. Let that hoop on fire. I will get through it. Speaking of fire, let's talk about
Fushigi
Fushigi
no
no Oni.
Oni.
As if we
Back.
needed more reasons to not play Fortification Gold, here's another one.
This is really great because he went from eating fortifications to at some point eating regions, right? They made a version of him that eats regions.
Let's see, was it this training ground?
And now
This is still Fortifications. War of
no, I don't think it was.
Spirits.
It might have been a different card,
Yeah.
but there was one that
Anyway.
ate regions, and this one eats fortifications. Anyway, he's the sort of token Ogrebushi type. Here's a big guy with only, here's an honor loss. He's a great card. He's a big Oni. He's good value. If you gave me a crab guy that was 5 force, 4 chief for 8, and could randomly destroy fortifications and get bigger, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good card. And
This is a good
it's
card.
a good unaligned card, except it's got full honor loss, and that's going to
Well,
keep it out of
we saw a lot
every
of these
military
corrupt.
planet.
We saw a lot of these corrupt type big attack decks, and I think this guy slots just perfectly into one of those.
Yep. If Sujekin Sensei Crab carries on, this guy's great in that.
Sujekin
Full
Sensei
honor is a
Crab,
big hit
corrupt
though.
Mantis. I mean, 4 is big, but 5 force is huge, and I think that they're really pushing fortifications. There might be enough suckers in the first couple rounds of the Swiss that play a couple here and there that you can get them and just feel like the smartest guy in the world.
And the fact that the deck that's playing Shiki might also be playing overwhelming offense. It's like, well, I eat it, and then over here I destroy it. Like, take that, you fortification Sensei deck. On to Haika Sutsu. This is a magistrate who does things to dishonorable people. I guess maybe you can play him in your lockdown unicorn deck. I'm never bothering with this guy.
No. Again, this is the kind of thing where the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I should have finger quoted the whole thing. I didn't think about it until the very end. So we do all the work of dishonoring your guy, and then we put the Saya ability on him that gives you 1 honor.
Also, don't you feel like he should be a duelist looking at that art?
There are securities in the art, and he is holding swords, and he's old. All of these weigh heavily in favor of him being a duelist, but yeah, this guy's nothing. There's nothing to see here. I don't even know what sort of deck he would go into. All of these attack you. If it was goes into battle, then I could use my spider guy that makes the ambush, and then I can gain 3 honor off
on your 4 honor wreck guy. Come on, he's just
made out of
he's
Scorpion. Okay, whatever. The point is that
he's a rented magistrate. If at some point down the line the
magistrate
keyword might become a thing we're desperately searching for, or you want to play magistrates in a faction that doesn't normally have access to them, and here you go.
There you go. Okay.
Now, let's say you want to play Shugenja or Rings in a faction that doesn't normally play them. Have we got a card for you?
This guy's
love
so
him.
good.
Love him. Everything.
Why is this guy so good?
Pay 3 gold to draw a card.
Pay 3 gold, draw a card. Pay 3 gold, straight.
You get the Mantis box.
Now, there's some really interesting interactions with this. You can use the 1 card
Undone by
the Enlightened. That you play your card, pick it up, blow him up. You're picking it up anyway. Man, this guy's good.
Put up Void, draw a card, pick up Void, kill a guy.
If you can go,
just gas.
And I'll be playing decks that have Ambush and Void and this guy and Undone, so we'll be looking at play Void, draw a card, ambush, pick up Void, kill the guy, play Void, draw another card. I'll just be living the dream, man.
It's I mean, it's a really cool, flexible personality that we're very excited for, and will probably not be played by anyone else. But whatever,
I
you guys
I
are lame.
cannot see that being the case. It's really aggressively costed, 5 gold for three force. It can cast Strength of the Fifth Ring. It puts out rings, and rings are one of the most powerful places you can be right now, just because there are these repeatable, there's these recursive effects that are relevant. They're in the past they've been weaker because they're repeatable, but because actions have gotten so weak, like rings are just as good as anything else. And so you taking them
Yep.
over and over again is really powerful. Uh, I don't understand why you would not play this personality.
Well, maybe you want to play it because it makes you lose 4 honor, and it's 4/4 for 8, like Moto Degaru. Which this is actually a perfectly fine card,
It's a
right? If
great
you gave
card.
it if you gave it a unicorn border and got rid of the 4 honor loss, I'd be like, this card's awesome. But 4 honor loss is really big, and I can't run Degaru and Oni no Fushiki and Skeletal Troops and I think that's where the problem starts to run into, is that you can only have so many lose 4 honor cards in your deck, especially because you might be playing a low honor deck like Spider, especially because Nexus of Lies exists if you're playing high honor. But I love this card. I love Bodo Sume, and yeah, I'm with you.
The Dark Motor were cool. I guess Shinjo came back and blew them all up, but apparently not. She wasn't as thorough as she purports to be. I always liked the Dark
Now,
Moto. I always liked Dark Moto Sume.
we're being a little inconsistent because we like this card and his battle ability is a Fear 4. Like, what's going on with that, Jesse?
I like him because he's
Explain yourself.
undead. I like him because he's undead, and I'm long on the guy that gives undead force bonuses. So I'm long on this card because I'm hoping for some sort of thing up the road that lets me mitigate that honor loss somehow, and just have access to like another undead dude for my like get a bunch of force deck.
Right, and I think to me it's sort of like I'm high on him because of other potential. Right, so we have 4/4 for 8 cavalry guys that aren't really all that inspired, but if you give them a Fear 4 effect and you give them non-human and undead, which might sort of give me payoff cards later, it's a lot easier for me to look at a card and sort of feel like it's going to take me somewhere. Obviously, I don't think I'm doing much with him early, but you know.
Yeah, this is just a card that I'll keep in the back of my mind. This is a rare, so he'll stay in the binder. And
Yeah, you're not like putting Daigo into any of your decks right now, but you can see that. But the card has a good place and justifies itself in the set based on its future earning potential, which may or may not pay off.
it's always nice to have those sorts of cards. Now let's talk about Ninja Shapeshifter. I kind of wanted to do an entire Ninja Shapeshifter video.
I feel like one of us has to like bite the bullet and write the Ninja Shapeshifter article
I'll
and
do.
just sort of like go.
I haven't written an article in weeks. So.
Because there's a lot. The general overview here is pretty straightforward. 10 gold's a lot of gold for a card that doesn't do anything until you also have some other card for it to do something with. The only reason Ninja Shapeshifters have ever really been able to sort of get in on the action before is because you had the Ninja Stronghold, not the faction stronghold, the holding
Ninja Stronghold
titled Ninja Stronghold.
Ninjas for free.
That you just buy them. I will say that I've never before seen Ninja Shapeshifter with anything but the one art from Imperial, because I think that's the only art it's ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really cool to see some new art.
Yeah, it's okay. He appears to have become one of the ninjas from Mortal Kombat, which I love Mortal Kombat. I don't care. He can be Sub-Zero. I think so. Ninja Shapeshifter is the ultimate Dirtles card, and it's really confusing to me that they included it in the set, because, like Paul said, the only way that this card is going to come online is when like you've played a Jesse style deck where you build your pillow for it and everybody's safe inside the house.
When you copy Bayoshi Tsunetra, and then you bow your Shapeshifter to the copied Tsunetra's ability.
Right.
That's fun for everybody.
Right.
And so, by everyone, I mean me. Not my opponent.
It's fun for me, yeah. If your desire in L5R, when you sit down to a game of L5R, if what's important to you is that you not only beat your opponent, but you eliminate all desire they have to play another game of L5R.
Fun is zero sum. Like if they're having any amount of fun, then
you are not having any fun.
You're not. That's fun. You're not having. So you have to have all the fun. You can't let them have
any
a little bit of fun.
And then Ninja Shapeshifter is the card for you. This is a card that's either going to be people are either going to call for this card to be banned or it's going to be a worthless card no one ever talks about. There's no middle ground for
And
this card.
it's much more likely to be the second because there's just not as many powerful things to copy. First off, let's get to the nitty gritty. If you're copying like personal honor with Ninja Shapeshifter, you have done something drastically wrong. Like you're not like that's not what
y'all done
like,
goofed.
that's not his purpose. At some point, you might copy somebody's force to like attack after you've like sucked all the will of your opponent out. But mostly, you're generally copying
Abilities.
ability. That's sort of what you're looking for.
And specifically, you want to be copying limited and open abilities, sort of on unique cards often, but engine. You want to be copying engine style abilities, abilities that if like that in one copy are okay, but in enough copies can serve to shut the board down or to redirect the game in some fashion. So I'm thinking of cards like Bayushi Sakura was the one that we talked about a little bit in the Scorpion vid.
Right. The old Coils of Madness, Suke, like would be really neat to have Ninja Shapeshifter interact with if you were to try to play like Ivory Extend.
Yeah, copying abilities that just say kill a guy is always nice. Yeah. So like, and you really got to sit down and think about it. The easiest place to start now is with Amuro and Sakura and using Shapeshifter to generate a lot of duels in one turn and kill a bunch of guys.
Yes, the easiest place. Yep. Actually, the true easiest place is to say you don't want to play a 10 gold cost like down the rabbit hole card. But I'm with you.
I don't have any experiences in my life that allow me to empathize with that comment. I have no frame of reference from which to evaluate a comment. Like, if you don't want to play this card, if this isn't the most exciting card for you in the set, then we have nothing in common, and I don't want to be your friend.
I do feel like this is one of it's very rare for us to get into commentary on rarity. There's some really like awful rares that are just complete duds. The fact that Ninja Shapeshifter is uncommon feels like a mistake to me. I feel like this is a card you make just a rare because nobody else wants them. Like people are gonna have like 50 of this card, and they're gonna be like. They're gonna like flip it through their packs. They're gonna be like, just every time they come across this, they're like, why are we doing this?
Screw that. Get out of here. Let's pull this up. If you're playing Ninja Shifter, if you're playing this, I'm playing the nice Imperial bordered with the cat, and he's pointing to something.
No. I got a playset of the Celestial 15s, which have like the Imperial art and text, but with the cool new border. Like, that's the card.
Yeah, it's blown up. I'm pulling them all up for everybody to see. So you've got some options on which ones to play. Obviously, you will be playing one of them because
classic Imperial. It's either Imperial, Celestial Edition 15, or 20 festivals. If you've managed to get the foil uncommon sets.
All right, let's pop on to the next one. I will write a Ninja Shapeshifter article. I'll think of all the different ways we can use Ninja Shapeshifter, so you don't have to.
I don't like foil, but Nanube Shiho and Ninja Shapeshifter. These are the exceptions. Hey, I remember Rent-A-Courtier guy from.
I played him in Farnsworth. That was my Lotus era, sort of Diamond Lotus crossover era.
I think I used Taneji. So now, did you use him mostly for what? Did you use him mostly for courtier effects? Did you use him for
both? He was great because he fulfilled the conditions for well-laid plans. That was the card that if you have a samurai and a courtier.
So for you, it was all about well-laid plans. You know what I used Otomo Taneji for more than anything else?
What's that?
Putting his blade away. He was like taking the blade out. He's like, no. Let me stay this blade.
Stay your blade. That was send a samurai home, draw 3 cards. The card I'm talking about was like if you control a samurai and a courtier, you could pitch 2 cards and draw 3 cards. He did everything. He Bitter Shadow of Shamed. He stayed his blade. He lobbied for the favor. He was just an excellent card.
He did a bunch of really cool, powerful stuff, and now he'll be played as a way to gain an honor and do things that aren't quite as cool or powerful.
Yeah, now all he's going to do is gain you a point. He'll be just like, I forget the name of the one girl.
Otomo Demia.
Demia, yep. He's the new Demia without so they wanted to take her out of Dishonor decks. But Honor decks were playing Demi at 2 back in Emperor Edition, and so they'll be playing Teneji here, just the same. So
On to the Rattling.
Rattling Raider. All right. Let's talk about
All
Rattling
is
Raider.
coming up. This is a really interesting one for me. So, came on the scene in Hidden City, and I remember when this first popped up in the middle of Diamond.
Yep.
And Feign Death was legal then, and Feign Death is legal now. And Rattling Raider plus Feign Death, that was a really big thing that was happening then. And then Rattling Raider sort of got pushed forward into Lotus, but wasn't really played at all in Lotus because Rattling were more powerful and super cheap, and you don't have any kind of connected check effect. I guess you had Chickle, but nobody even bothered.
Yeah.
I think that this card, I think a lot of people are going to look at this card and they're going to think about Rattling Raider plus Feign Death and think, like, man, this is really good. And I think at the end of it, they're not really good at all. I think that this is a card of a bygone era, of a bygone day. And, 6 force for 10 gold isn't terrible, split out of multiple bodies. It's justifiable. And this card belongs in a certain type of swarm-based military deck. I'm thinking specifically of just like a Lion, get out the guy's attack deck, where you could play like some Rattling Raiders and the Invest guy, and just really get your bodies on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I think Rattling Raider isn't as high as I want him to be. I think he's just barely good enough.
Well, this guy's going to be an extended format all-star. I'm playing him in the Phoenix Sensei deck with Tsukuhime's Sanction and Hohoshusha. I'll be eating him and buying him out every single turn and flooding the board with personalities. I think, though, your analysis of real formats that people really play is spot on. 10 gold for 6 force is not quite there. I mean, it's better than an Elemental Dragon.
It's like the best 10 gold force to gold cost ratio there is, and there's something about getting 3 bodies out of 1 card that makes it.
The problem is just that the bodies are so small. They just don't do anything.
He doesn't fit in anything else, right? Yeah. Like they're not like, when I'm playing Lion, I'm not gaining honor. I can't interact with the box. They're not Samurai for Serenity. Like, it's just a numbers thing for me right now. There's no payoff for playing non-humans at all that I can think of, other than like that one weird event. But as your very, very first guy, like, if he's the only guy you get to buy on turn 3, like, that wouldn't be so bad. So I mean, it is a good card. I think because of nostalgia, I want to love this card, and I've got really great memories of playing this card and really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
But and the fact that they kept it as a trait instead of making it some kind of recruit interrupt, which is what it should be, right? Like the Phoenix guy who makes a little Shugen buddy is a recruit interrupt, and the Geisha that you invest, it's
a recruit interrupt.
It's just odd to me that there's just this trait in this way, and it works with Feign Death.
For sure, rock on Feign Death.
It's not what I want. I'm not in love with it, but it's still okay.
Okay, let's talk about Seasoned Ronin. This is another blanket force pump, so I like it. I think that it has stock in the same way that I like the Undead guy. It just depends how many Ronin we get, and that's not a trait that's typically supported or really put anywhere.
Yeah, so there's the little duelist Ronin, and I think that's it. I think that's all I can think of. Can you think of any other Ronin-y things?
I can't.
I can think of the one that makes a range 2 attack from Coming Storm, I think is officially a Ronin. You have to be careful because not all unaligned guys are Ronin, right?
Yep,
so there might be...
For followers, Band of Brothers is importantly a Ronin. I got my...
Oh, you're cheating! Band of Brothers... Okay, well, also, I gotta confess, one of the reasons I loved Season Ronin and Imperial Gift 3, I was playing sort of like Spider, monster decks. I love making the joke about how I love my Ronins to be well seasoned when I eat them. It's a joke that I always like to make. I feel like it always gets a chuckle.
Nice. So I'm looking through now, like Ryukin, Oniyara, Suzune the Koi, the doofus he makes is a Ronin. Like, there's a fair number. There's a fair number of followers. I think that this guy might have a deck, and I'll certainly build it and see what it looks like. But
okay.
if it is a deck, it'll be a very good deck. Because like I said, when I was super high on the undead guy, and that guy was, 7 gold and only an
Yeah,
extra point of force. This guy is just as
that's a point
powerful.
really well taken, by the way. That when these sort of effects of give everything a bonus, I mean, they can become very powerful very quickly.
They're extraordinarily impressive, especially in a format that has a lot of copy. And we just talked about Ninja Shapeshifter and how you never want them in a deck. This is the kind of deck that would run with that, where like you could just get more
Yep.
plus 1/4 force, and then that in those big opposed battles, you don't take actions. You just sit there and like inspired leadership, more force, take force, 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 force. And it's really, really hard for decks to deal with. Like my action is gain 10 force. Your action is send me home. My action is gain 8 force. Like there's not a lot of decks just shut down in the face of that, and that's why Family Dojo was so good. And that's why cards like this are so good. It's important to keep your eye on cards like these.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
Okay.
And this is what? Okay, so on Tarui here next,
Tarui, and
another cheap Ronin to
hey, it's a cheap Ronin to work with my guy. He's a duelist. I don't care. Pretty much just for that guy, he goes into the seasoned Ronin deck, and that's it.
He'll be a rented duelist in some of these sort of off-brand dueling decks. He's okay. I mean, you can't criticize the numbers. He might even show up in just some low to the ground straight military decks that don't care about his duelist trait because he's got a dash auto rack, so you can play your House of Disgrace and your Save Splits and your Lane of Immoralities and all that stuff. So he's a cool guy, and he'll do what he does.
Rock on. Tom
Hey,
Butcher,
Dragonfly.
Dragonclad.
I love
Okay.
this guy. I'm super high. This is one of my favorite cards of the set. I think that 3, 3 for 5 are good numbers, sort of as
And
a
he's
generic
naval.
thing for shooting. And he's naval, and that's a big deal because naval final ruin now. He's not a great final ruiny guy, but there's other things you can do with naval. And I think this is a really powerful invest too. I think going up to
Absolutely, yeah.
4/4 and gaining naval Sino mobility. I like this guy quite a bit, and I think that between him and Bat Clan Shugenja, you and even Kung Ong, the guy who puts the rings out, and the guy who gets the bonus. There's like 12 unaligned Shugenja that I want to run, and I'm not sure that I can't just do that. That I can't just build like a
Yeah.
Shugenja unaligned military deck, of
I'm a
which
little
Tanbo Yaru would be centerpieces.
I'm a little embarrassed for Phoenix because I feel like Unaligned has become the official
Oh,
faction of the
absolutely,
Sugenja.
absolutely.
Backland Girl is nuts. This Tombo Gyro is nuts. The other guys are merely good. Are Kung An, the one that plays out the rings, is merely good. The 4/4 with the spell is merely good. But this guy's the real deal. Spells are the most pushed action type. You have a lot of big range attacks. You've got Kill You, Final Ruin. Uh, and having naval and all that
Oh,
is just incredible. This guy slots straight
so
into the
final's really
Mantis.
good. We like it's odd because we say spells are pushed, but really we're talking about a few specific spells generally. We're talking about like Stones of Purity for its force generation, Guidance of War for its flexibility and its ability to create conquerors and these super units. We haven't really seen a sort of standard military build where you put multiple units out and they just all happen to be Shigenjas and they all happen to do things. But I think that now there's enough good, aggressively force-costed personalities where that deck really does get turned on, where it's like, this guy over here has an Impassable Waters, and this guy over here has a Final Ruin, and I have a Burning Spirit, and I'm just playing it on my one Shigenja, and I attack with all of them, and it's not the big tower military decks that we've seen with like a Ray Sensei, but it's just sort of like Shugenjas and cards spread out across the board.
Yeah.
Really taking it to your opponent. And I think this guy is so perfect in that kind of build.
I think he's perfect in whatever you want him to do. I think Mantis will play the heck out of him. I think that Phoenix, I think anybody who wants to play Shigenja will start with his like first personality is Tombo and Gyro.
Yeah, you want to attack. You want to attack with Shugenja in.
Exactly.
And you can play Honored Sensei, so you get a 2 for 3 holding, which makes like running multiple unaligned guys
like
intelligent,
advantageous. Yeah, with some incidental honor
so,
gains, like you can offset if you're playing like a lane of immorality. There's a lot going on here, and I like this guy a lot, and I like Shugenja a lot, so it's a pretty easy sell for me. Okay, let's pop onto my favorite dragon, the Void Dragon.
We used to be friends. a long time ago, but I haven't thought of you lately at all.
Here's the Void Dragon is terrible because he makes the opponent discard 2 cards, not at random, after he
No,
wins a battle or destroys a
that'd be
boss.
over the top, Jesse. Don't be ridiculous.
Here's the thing. This is the most important thing about the Void Dragon. You discard the cards off of ambushes, and I think that
Yep.
almost makes him, it almost gets him there.
If you destroy the unit, they discard off the ambush.
Right. So
That's
if I
it's
ambush
not
them
like
and
I
they
can just
can't
play
go home, I get the guy.
Yep.
Then I can take their cards. And
I
you know,
mean, I love that you're trying. I do, and I love the Void Dragon. I love the embodiment of the Void element, but I don't know. There's a leak somewhere in the sky that all the good Void Mojo is just floating out of. I guess I don't know. Strength of the Fifth Ring. I don't want to be too down, but it's just. I mean, I like the sort of flavor and the callback, but it's just like, ugh. It's just so. It is. I mean, I guess, like, if you take the first province with the Void Dragon and you take the second province with the Void Dragon, then they've had to discard 4 cards. Okay. I mean, the Void Ring is easier to play, so he only has a 13 honor requirement. I
yeah.
I can't.
I
I
envision
I
him
mean,
as a fun off
yeah.
in a certain type of control deck that can run the Sensei just incidentally, and then having that powerful interaction of like take an early province off your cavalry after playing a couple control effects. They lose 2, ambush, take their last 2 cards, and then make some safe attacks into just printed stuff versus my stuff. That's all
Yeah,
pretty
I
pie in
mean,
the sky, but I do think that
like I said in my article, he'll be in my Dragon decks out of a sort of completist nature, and he'll be the least impactful every time.
well, you can
Like
also make
every
him
time.
discard 4 cards, but we'll get to that later. Let's pop on to
Sure.
Voitagi. Not a lot to say about Voitagi. He's excellent.
I was
Just
down,
numbers.
and now I am up. This is. I
I love
can't believe you
Voitagi.
insist on calling him Koitagi instead of Urgarimono, by the way. You're one of those. Huh? You're
You
one of those new school players that started in like
no
2000. Ugh.
Ugurimono. My first ever deck was the
I like Squidhead.
Sepulture of Bone Pearl
Nice.
Edition box, and Ugurimono was in that fixed box. So I know Ugurimono. I know what that card does. It's just Voitagi
I
is so much
was
easier to say.
actually. It's so fascinating to me because I was actually talking to some guys at the store, and they're like, "Yeah, there's this cool new undead card, and it's like 3/4 for 3 gold. It's a fear 3 effect." And it's odd to me to think that, like, how old are we? How long have we been? Like, to me, Voitagi his day was yesterday, but it's been
Absolutely.
a
Well,
long
yeah,
time.
and
This
Diamond Edition. He
guy that
wasn't.
was like 240 for Lotus, right? I mean, it's just like it's been quite the day. I still have my in Diamond. There was some promotional Voitagi art that I think it came with the Imperial Herald or something, and it's like Voitagi unmasked. And, do
Here
they
he
have the
is.
art
I
on
got him up
your
right here.
article there? And
Um,
it's still my favorite pieces of art, and it's still one of my favorite cards. Now it doesn't have the cool sort of change in card face, but I've always really loved that specific piece of art. In fact, I looked for it once. It was I don't know, Hugh something did the art, and I was never able to find the original art, but I always really loved that art the most. This art reminds me of the Scream guy or whatever.
So Votagi's excellent. He'll go in this undead deck that I've been talking about, but he'll also just go in decks that want to be low to the ground and fast. If
Every
Mantis
spider
decks,
deck,
corrupt
I don't.
decks that don't care about honor.
You play Spider, you should play this guy. If he had the Spider trait, you'd play him for sure, even if he still caused you the 3 honor hit. He's awesome.
Yep.
Corrupt Mantis, pretty great. He's really good. If you can stomach 3 honor hits, and most military decks can,
Play
and
Votagi.
he's worth cutting one of your other guys with an honor requirement to play because he's as efficient as it gets, man.
Yeah, 3/3, 3/3. Get in there. He's like the new Motosume, except he's all 3s instead of all 4s.
Yep.
Okay, Water Dragon. Last dragon.
I think I need a bigger boat.
Is that a reference to the old Taco Bell commercial with Godzilla?
It's a Jaws reference.
Oh.
There's actually a callback to my article I made a little caption joke about.
I
Anyway,
know.
so this is the one that holds on there, and he's it's a copy ability, and we if you think we're excited about the Ninja Shapeshifter copying stuff at 10 gold,
Well,
well,
wait
wouldn't
till
it be
you see
great if
this.
we copy things for 15 gold?
Now,
Eh?
this guy
Eh?
this guy copies traits
And
and
keywords.
keywords
Copies that conqueror.
of anybody. And now I haven't explored this yet because
He can
honestly, the
copy
first
traits.
time. So the trait line is on there so we can copy his buddy Dragon's traits. But I think that there may very well be some degeneracy in there somewhere with that line of text
Sure.
specifically.
That wouldn't completely shock me. I could see copying the trait of Inamoto where he gets, +1, +2 if you have a spell attached just to get him overall force hump or something. The ability to copy traits is really interesting, and I guess he copies like all the traits, or I mean, there's not a clear rules concisement of like. So does the water dragon have just one trait that's all like? Is his cannot attach followers items, cannot get like? Is that all one trait, or is like
Yeah,
one
is it
sentence
three trait? Does
an
he copy a
individual trait?
sentence? Yeah, or a trait? That's
I
unclear.
mean I don't know.
The thing
Right?
is that that's a completely unique effect within all of L5R. I don't think that we've ever seen a card that does that ability before, which
Sure.
leads me to believe that there's something somewhere I can do with that that will not work as intended, and that will give me a powerful shell of attack.
Absolutely, and
The other question
yep,
is
that's
like,
exciting.
can Ninja Shapeshifter copy the Water Dragon's copy because it copies traits, not abilities?
No, because it's an ability that can copy
No, it's
abilities
an ability that can copy traits.
or abilities.
Yeah, okay. I
Right?
tried. I tried.
You did try, and you know, to me though, the joke about Ninja Shapeshifter really sort of solidifies just how crazy it is that these guys are 15 gold when the Ninja Shapeshifter barely sees or won't see any real play at 10 gold, right? Like 15's a lot. And
15's
that
a
is
lot,
the
but
last of our guys.
that is indeed. So what we're gonna do next is pop through the, I guess, unaligned, like sort of all clan senseis.
Sensei that didn't fit neatly into one specific faction. And we were starting with Dejuro Sensei.
It's not
Am I
delivery; it's
on the
de juro.
yes, sir. So this is a Sensei that didn't fit neatly because it's four different, and there will probably be some. Dragon have a guy who give their provinces a bonus,
Yep,
and Phoenix
absolutely.
and Crane have
Some fortification
fortification-y
stuff.
thing. Well, Phoenix does. I don't know about to me, this Sensei is just terrible because it slows down gold production, and I never want to do that.
This
If
this
it was
sensei
Lion,
is
maybe.
this sensei is miserably bad for me because it actually lowers your province strength. Like when I think of a fortification deck, I think of one that's playing the like not Masumi Mura, that's the one that puts it back in, but there's the one that gives you +1 for each province attached, and there's the temple that gives you +2, and you can easily get up to a +7, 8, 9 province strength. This actually reduces it back down to +4.
And has a maximum strength equal to a sprinted +4. That's really interesting. Yeah, if it comes together, there's a lot more fortifications that are gold efficient now, but there's not a lot of like one for ones to get. And I mean, do you really want your Forgotten Legacy holding to cost 4 gold?
Right.
I don't. But I I will look into it. I specifically the Phoenix guy that lets you buy back a fortification and makes your province strengths a little bigger.
I mean
Though
that guy.
with the
I
Sensei
mean,
giving you a
yeah, that
right.
guy is awesome, and I always wanted him to be something. He just never quite was, because fortifications are so vulnerable. Like, this is not like he's not buy
Yep.
guy on one bow on the off turn for a free empty crevasse. He's putting stuff out that's vulnerable to your opponent just walking over and taking it. There's so much blow up
And
Fushuki no Oni and overwhelming offense and
yeah, and the other thing is so fortifications have this innate liability, and they've created like the card that like moves your fortifications around and all these other things.
which
But I
costs three.
don't
It's a
want to
3 for 2 out of this sensei.
I don't want to be playing cards to offset the liability for playing my other cards. Like I want my cards to be providing benefits. I want to be focused on the bonuses the cards bring me, not like, oh man, I want to play this card and then I have to worry about it, because it's not like the fortifications are all that good, and that's the real issue, right? Like,
Right. This
if my fortification cost 4 and made 10, I'd be like, okay, I'm taking my chances. But
absolutely.
none of them are that above the power curve.
And this guy just he's there's no payoff here. I don't know why they cap it at 4. Would it be so powerful to have all 10 of my fortifications on one province for +10? I don't. It's one of those cards where like they throttled it for a reason that I cannot fathom. And if it didn't have that +4 clause on it, I could maybe see playing this card.
It's sort of a hedge against future design. They're
Like,
going all in on fortifications.
okay, so like the future design is what I play a deck that plays nothing but 40 fortifications, and so I have a faceless fortification deck that goes to +40 province strength. I We can still crack 40
Well, you
province
still
strength.
would have to have a guy who defended there, right, to trigger the bonus.
Right. So there you go. So you still can't be faceless, and if your whole deck is just buy fortifications like and sit there, so I just buy out my whole
Yep.
deck and attack you. Why? Like, I'll have more than 40 force in my military deck.
Maybe because they plan to make really powerful. Yeah, I got nothing. So
This
also,
is
I do want to point out that that just what feels a massive flavor fail, that the fortification sensei can't be played with crab. Like, I don't get it.
no, it's true.
I
Okay,
don't
let's talk about Kyoto Sensei. You wrote an
Kyoto.
article. There's not a lot to say here, except that if you want to
If
play
you want
dragons,
to
you
play
must
the
play this.
dragon, pretty much have to. I mean, you can try doing it the old-fashioned way of honor Rex, and there's some goofy stuff like play Lion Honor with the Lion Honor Sensei to gain a few more points of honor, so that once you've like proclaimed twice, you can buy your dragons. But for the most part, it just makes all the sense. It's easier to generate force than it is honor in an explosive manner, and you really want to get your dragons out as soon as you can, so you play the Sensei.
Yeah.
And there it is. The proclaimability means nothing, and I don't care. It will be fun to build a non-Shadowlands filled spider deck that plays the dragons like that. That'll be fun.
And I think we can just skip. So we will note that Mahatsu Sensei is still in. If you're playing Enlightenment, you still must play Mahatsu Sensei. Beyond that, there's not a lot to
Because
say
you
here.
have to play the Ring of Void, and there's only so many ways to get rings out of discards.
Yeah, that was the problem.
The last one is, I think, the most interesting one. Teotaken Sensei. This feels like a real card to me. I feel like the Crab Sensei from Ivory never really got going, and now a bunch of different factions get to see if they can make it work. You have all the fearless followers now that interact very positively, that just sort of turn this into bow your Sensei for a range 3. This seems like a great card to me. Why am I wrong?
You're not wrong. This card does not remove your stronghold's abilities. You get to keep everything you've already got. All you gotta do is trade in a province strength and a starting honor, and you just get an additional battle action. Like, cards like Akikazu Sensei saw play just because there was a low cost of playing it, and it was an additional effect. This is better than that. So
yeah, and it works. It turns on just generic followers. It also turns on generic weapons really well, right?
absolutely.
You just happen to want to be like, you're playing your family sword, and you're just like, okay, now I'll ball my family sword and make a melee 3 attack. That's really good.
Yep. So I think this card is excellent. I think it's first off, it's just a draft all-star.
Yeah. Oh
if
yeah.
you yank one of these, you're winning your draft for sure. But there's also all these there's all these fearless guys like we've got, and all of those medium fearless infantry, bow for melee 3, immediately straighten it. Like Amoral Waveman has the bow, make a range 3. You could do it. So bow, make his range 3, print it, straighten him, make another range 3 off the Sensei. Like this is an excellent card that I think is going to go into a lot of default military decks. Factions like Crab and Spider and Unicorn that don't care so much about going first all the time can just slap them in, because why the heck not? If you're playing 10 followers, you absolutely just play them because you can.
Yep, and I think that's it's competing against a lot of other Sensei back stronghold setups. I mean, Sheikah Sensei is really good, and to tell Mantis that, hey, you should play this instead of Sheikah Sensei, there's going to be a debate. And spider decks that want to duel are going to have to try to run their duel set. But I mean, this, and Lion won't want to play it because they love
They
to
don't want
just
that
always
gate,
go
yeah.
first and don't want to risk the chance of being it. Though I think maybe they should look into this, because it just feels like it could really
Mm-hmm.
become a defining Sensei
Mm-hmm.
as we
It's the
move
real
forward
deal.
into the arcs.
Especially if we can figure out ways to bump our as like these Ronin decks or these undead decks I'm talking about, like can bump up their followers' force pretty painlessly. This Sensei gets even better with those. So keep your eye on this Sensei. I think it's excellent. I'm not saying play it in Mantis automatically. I'm saying if you're not playing a Sheikah Sensei deck, play it. If you're not playing a dual deck, you just play it. It's sort of like
But
it's the
you know,
norm and you deviate
go
from
get
it.
those. Go
Hmm?
get those Dragon Elite Incues that contribute force while bowed, and start bowing them for range 3 attacks, man. Like, get on it.
Absolutely. This is a really cool card. I like it a lot. And it's just the right kind of Sensei that people will play. They've been sort of playing footsies with this Sensei for a long time. There was the Fear Sensei, the Courage Sensei, that was similar,
Yep.
gave you like an effect for nothing, but it wasn't good enough. A Fear Zero is trash. But this is a melee attack. Oh, excuse me, melee attacks are the real thing.
Yep. I agree.
All right,
Okay.
guys. So
I've
that
got
is
nothing else to say.
almost all the black cards. We'll be back next time with events and holdings, and then we'll be moving on to the green ones, the exciting ones. So until then, I am Jesse, and that is Paul, and this has absolutely been enough talk.
Hang loose.